if there is a person who I do think is making that concerted effort to take it back, it is Thomas Massie. And I think he is going to be in a position where the pressure, especially now, is going to mount substantially for him to run for president in 28. And given that the Democrats are already laying the foundation for AOCIA to run, you know that it's going to be quite an interesting situation once the midterms are over, and then immediately it's going to be this total shit show of people that are going to be running for office. But what I will say, and this is one of the reasons why a lot of people were concerned about Tucker Carlson, because in the end, most people just assumed that he was going to be loyal to J.D. Vance. This was an interview that he gave, I believe, yesterday, or shortly after the vote was in.
I wanted to ask you, what about Thomas Massie then?
No, I love Massie.
People are throwing his name around. I have no idea. Would you support him? Would you back him?
Well, obviously. I mean, I just think he's a friend of mine. I admire him.
Okay.
He embodies attitudes that I thought defined our country: decency, honesty, principle, self-reliance. Like, you know, all four of his children are happily married and love and respect him. That's another thing. I just have to say it. If your wife and children don't respect you, why would I vote for you? I don't know. The people who know you best have found you wanting. You haven't been a good father. Why would you be a good president? I don't.
That reminds me of when Herschel Walker was running for the Senate in Georgia, and his son had to basically come out and say, not only has he abandoned me, but he beat the ever-loving shit out of me as often as he could. And that's just scratching the surface of just how bad our federally elected representatives actually are, because they suck really bad. But, you know, Massie, if he has the backing of Tucker, if he has that type of an infrastructure right off the bat, I mean, that's some big stuff right there. And we're going to get to another little interesting story in a second from this, but we'll continue.
I don't understand. I've never understood that. And so I would never again vote for someone whose wife, particularly his wife and kids, didn't respect him ever.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think he's a legitimate threat in any way, despite it being electoral?
Who?
Tucker? No.
Massie? Well, I mean, if he decides to run, but I mean, who knows? They'll keep McConnell on life support long enough that he won't have a chance to run for that seat. And I don't know that Massie will get enough money that he could do a national. I don't know. I don't know what to make of it.
Well, we saw what Bernie was capable of doing. Are you doing something?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
And I'm asking you in the chat, like when you wanted to do the call-in, but we're running out of time for that. So I don't know what you're, so I am, but I'm not sure, you know, what you're doing here.
Oh, I just saw, okay. I saw the message now. That's all again, or you text me. That's fine. Guys, we are going to do a call-in shortly. But I want to get through this because there's another angle to this story that I think is important that we get to. And yes, I do believe that Tucker Carlson would have a tremendous impact on Massie's ability to run a legitimate campaign for president if he is backing him up. And yes, again, Jen and I both did not think that Tucker Carlson was going to run for president. I don't know why.
I never said he was going to run.
Why they were on that kick. That didn't really make any sense to me. But counter that with what's going on with the Democrats. And this is hilarity of the worst kind. South Carolina Democratic Party chairwoman Crystal Spain, if Nevada goes first before South Carolina in the primary calendar. So the Democratic establishment, again, we talk about the fact that there is no legitimate especially for president. You cannot become the presidential nominee in the Democratic Party if you are not bought and paid for by corporate special interests. And so they're arguing right now, the Democratic establishment is trying to have South Carolina be the first state in the primaries in 2028. So Crystal Spain says if Nevada gets elevated over South Carolina, it would be because of their Latino vote. So now it's a race thing. So you would then be telling black voters that you matter less than brown voters. And I refuse to believe that our party wants to send any type of message like that. And here's the lovely lady that made that statement. Colin? No. Scroll. Thank you. Okay, she doesn't seem to be a very happy individual, but maybe she's paid well. I can't tell. And now, if you scroll down a little further, New York Times, South Carolina and Nevada have emerged as the two frontrunners to begin the 2028 Democratic presidential nominating calendar, but their jockeying has grown acrimonious and pitted Black and Latino party leaders against each other, according to interviews with more than a dozen party officials. It's almost like we're running against Nevada, Christelle Spain says, and that's what it feels like. Again, what is the purpose of doing something like this? It is already being reported that Kamala Harris is very serious about running for president again. And under the condition that she is able to run, she is going to set the table to make sure that South Carolina is first, a state that she would likely clean up in. You know, momentum. It's a funny thing in politics, the way the mind works. So, yeah. I do think this is going to be interesting. And, you know, there should be no surprises. None. In terms of how these elections go down, why they are, frankly, a waste of time in many instances, because the people that are running, what do they care? They don't give a shit. They're still arguing about, oh, it's the brown voter and it's the black voter. Meanwhile, the independent voter is saying, at least if I vote for the Republicans, I won't have to listen to this shit. And you think it's just a white thing? It's not. People hate identity politics. People would love it if it was actually based on policy that could help everyday people that need it, especially in communities that are hurting. But that's not what's happening here. This is all gamesmanship to make sure the status quo is maintained. Despite all the fucking bullshit that's going on today, this is still going on. They're still arguing on this point. Oh my God, why are you not allowing the black voter to go first? You don't hate the Democrats enough. And let's also say one other thing before we move on. Shama Sawant is going to get an interview on Breaking Points on Monday, because people are tired of the fucking bullshit about gatekeeping within the two-party system. I had to say something to the Vanguard boys because they're piggybacking on all the other bullshit. And I'm going to do this on Saturday. I'm going to do a more extensive piece on this on Saturday, especially because Sam Cedar and the person who I can't stand the most in gatekeeping Democratic Party politics, Emma Vigeland, they're fucking bashing Shama Sawant like she's not a legitimate candidate. The woman won 5 fucking elections for the Seattle City Council. She has built an infrastructure in that city. She has raised over $600,000, and they have the audacity to say that the person who's the Republican candidate, who's raised $75,000 and is sitting on $5,000 right now, like they're the ones who's going to win. They're going to get more votes than Shama Sawant. Let me tell you, if that happens, you can forget that elections ever meant anything, because they don't. They just decide who's going to win and who's going to lose.
I'm very disappointed with the amount of things that I've heard. And for guys, if you don't know, I'm not on in the social media sphere. In the past, Sam has been good to me. And I've not had issues with Sam, and I have not had issues with Emma. But this is just so everybody is now really showing their true colors, that they're all just shills for the Democratic Party. They don't care about the values that they claim to care about. And that goes for anybody on any of the shows that is saying anything. If somebody is covering Adam Smith, I don't care how difficult of an interview they're giving him. If they're covering him and they're not acknowledging that Shama Sawant is running in that race against him, especially now given the new merger with Israel that was his bill, that person or persons are not my ally. They are not serious, and they're grifters because they clearly don't have the values that they claim to have. It's that simple. So any content creator that is talking shit about Shama Sawant is thereby being complicit in a genocide.
And could we point out one more thing? She isn't just running against any Democrat. She is running against the author of the Israel-U.S. military merger bill. That's who she's running against. And that is who they're running cover for. And I don't fucking care what the Democratic Party promises you or what they threaten you with. If this is how you choose to make your living, you are part of aiding and abetting a genocide.
Correct.
You're part of it.
Yes. You do not get to sit there and say things about Palestine and act. You know what you are? You're just like those liberal Zios. You don't get to sit there and talk about speak out like you're calling it a genocide, like, oh, you're so brave. But then you ignore the candidate in a race that's the only one that's speaking out against that genocide. And you give airtime to the person who just wrote the legislation that is the most treasonous thing that we've had before this Congress in my lifetime.
Ever.
And so, so you cannot be taken seriously as an ally, as a progressive, as anything that you would consider yourself in this movement towards any sort of like peace or any sort of self-determination for people or anything. You are not our ally. You're just not. And I don't need to say names. I don't need to name names. I know who I'm talking about. They knew who I'm talking about. You're a grifter. And I've always known you're a grifter. And now more people are going to see it too. That's what I think. So there.
Correct. And just remember, and this is my belief, the other reason why Shama is getting this interview is because the people demanded it and didn't let up on it and said, if you don't have her on, we will make sure that your channel suffers for it. And that's it. And they went from, in 24 hours, she's not legitimate, we shouldn't talk about her, to, we're going to have her on in a few days.
And I'm disappointed in Ryan. I'm very disappointed in Ryan. I'm disappointed, honestly. You again, you cannot claim to be on the right side of history and be a gatekeeper of information and keep out the information that's on the right side of history. Like, what are you doing?
Correct.
What are you doing? Sam, really, what are you doing?
Why? Because this is an example of what our channel goes through versus what their channels never go through. We are not part of the club. We do not play ball. They can complain from high heavens forever and a day, but they understand the score. When push comes to shove, you protect the status quo. You protect the system. You never question the super delegates. You never question the corporate money. You never demand that they actually end Citizens United with a new amendment, ever. And if they do, it's merely lip service. There's nothing tangible about it. Nobody wants to be a journalist or a media figure and getting their phone blown up every 5 seconds with another message saying, you better get Shama Sawant on. That is how change happens. That is a prime example of how it actually happens, because you make their lives a living hell. As you've been saying for the longest time, no one deserves a moment's peace.